Hey there, everyone. I'm sure some of you are still reeling from the legendary Robin debut that happened last night, but we do have a Hero Rises voting gauntlet happening very soon. And the thing about a Hero Rises voting gauntlet, it's really important. This is going to be a free unit that you get, and the top 4 that go through the first round are going to be on a banner that you're going to be able to pull from. Now, typically with the Hero Rises, what that means, it's usually like the top 8 units in the game. However, for varied reasons, typically 1 or 2 sneak in there that probably shouldn't be in there. And that is the case this time around as well, as I hope to kind of show you through what I've prepared here. Now, I'm not talking to the diehards, okay? Diehards, if you've already picked who you're going to pick, that's fine. Feel free to listen along. But for those of you who are still on the fence, I'm going to give a little bit of insight in terms of what is actually available, what could be in your barracks, and how you might want to choose to vote based on the information that they give out. All right? So, let's just start with the fact that the voting gauntlet's happening pretty soon, like in the next 2 days, based on when you're watching this. So to start, this is what the gauntlet looks like. All right. As with prior years, they're pairing top and bottom together. So 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, that thing. What that means ultimately is, I kind of pointed out when the results came in the first time, we're not going to have an all red banner. Last year we did have an all green banner. It was an absolute nightmare if there was one of those units that you actually wanted. But really good if you just didn't care and wanted good fodder options, or, you know, maybe you had multiple merge projects in that pool. Who knows? I don't know. But you could basically just color snipe green and get a 5-star focus hero every, like, I don't know, 10 pulls or something crazy like that. Not going to be this case around. Instead, what it's going to be is 3 reds and 1 colorless. Yikes. Red being one of the more bloated option pools, and colorless being one of the biggest peak and valley that you could think of in terms of what you would get if not a focus hero. So, hopefully, as I go through what's available in these top 8, you'll have a better idea of how to vote, or rather how not to vote. Maybe you choose the counter pick. I don't know. It's up to you. So to start, let's work our way from top to bottom here. Summer Edelgard. She is an excellent Gale Forcer that not only has armor level stats and is in armor, she kind of acts like an infantry cav unit where, thanks to the assault troop that she has, which is an exclusive skill, by the way, she can pretty much just bypass anything and move 3 tiles at a time. There are a couple limitations to that, but overall, that's pretty much how she's used. I use her as a Gale Forcer. I think she's probably top 3, if not the best Gale Force user in the game. And mainly because she gets a second action, thanks to her pref. There's a whole lot of reasons why you should vote Summer Edelgard. Mainly, if you're going to choose one of the Edelgards on the board, you should probably pick her. I'll explain that in a bit, but just know that she is excellent. Her harmonized skill basically makes it so it's like an anti-follow-up doubler proc that you can just choose to hit. And because she's harmonized, it affects not only her, but also anybody from the 3 houses or Radiant Dawn, I think is what it is, games. Usually it's referred to as Tellius, but technically 2 different things in FEH. Oops. And then she's also got attack defense ideal 4, which is fine, but a little dated. Now, granted, she did come out in June, and she will come back every June for the time being anyway. I don't really know how they're going to handle summer banners in the future, but as for right now, they all come back in either June or July, or I guess also August, based on how far out they have to go. But that is Summer Edelgard in a nutshell. Mythic Fomortiis, who I always want to add an extra R in his name, but that's not how you say it. Fomortiis is an actual, like an actual menace. Like an actual menace, especially on defensive tiles. Like, he's absolutely absurd. He will return in June. He is technically limited, but Mythics and Legendaries do get automatic reruns. Usually twice a year, sometimes 3, depending on how new they are. And then, of course, eventually, as things are now, he will trickle down years from now into the remix pool. So he'll always kind of be on rotation like 2 or 3 times a year. Whereas contrast to like Summer Edelgard or any other seasonal unit or special hero, they're going to show up once on their debut, once in the double special, and then once again every year after that. So you'll always have an annual chance to get them. He does have exclusive fodder in Beast Follow-Up, which basically gives a guaranteed follow-up, in addition to removing the transformation effect requirement. So kind of good. There's a fair amount of Beast units that would really appreciate that, because not all of them are super speedy. We can't all be Nyla, okay? But that's a really good option for him. 80 Far Save is also there, which I think was previously only on Valentine's female Robin. So again, somewhat exclusive fodder. And his preferred basically shuts down opponents who haven't acted yet. It's nuts. It's nuts. And that's an A skill, by the way. I'm not even going to go into the weapon because the weapon does a whole bunch of other stuff. But just know it's all really, really good stuff. Basically, it's kind of brainless the way that you can use fomortiis. So really easy to use. Very, very nice to have. And kind of outshadows Edelgard, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And when I say Edelgard, I mean Fallen Edelgard. Legendary Veronica, who I believe came in 3rd. She's a ranged cav, which is fun. Or no, she came in 8th. Yeah, she came in 8th. Never mind. Legendary Veronica, ranged cav. Gotta hit her before she hits you, basically. She's just kind of she's really frail, but will nuke you in a heartbeat. Pretty self-explanatory. We've seen units like these, but she's a ranged cav, which gives her, you know, a lot more versatility in that mat. Returns in May. She's already had a rerun, believe it or not, since her debut in November. So you'll have 3 cracks at her here by the time the, you know, summer hits. So if you haven't had a chance to get her, you will have a chance to get her again. And I bring that up mainly because we are going to be color sharing 3 reds no matter what. So it's basically legendary mythic standards here, similar to what you would find on a legendary mythic banner, right? So in terms of snagging these legendaries and mythics when it's not quite as convenient, it's not really going to be the case this time. Outside of fomortiis, who won't be color sharing if he wins. He will be the only colorless on the banner. She does have 3 solid inheritance options, especially if you are a, you know, magic user. But she does come with attack, speed, catch, which is kind of nice. And then also has Panic Smoke 4, which used to be exclusive, but has since gone on to Desert Ursula. So still limited in option for sure, but not exclusive anymore. Rearmed Robin, the first of the rearmed heroes that we're going to talk about, and I believe she came in 7th. She is a really good save option, and she also has very neat cipher callback art as well. If you know the pieces I'm talking about, then you know the pieces I'm talking about. The thing about Rearmed Robin, as well as Ophelia that we'll mention later on, she has no guaranteed rerun. She is on the banner right now, which is the Legendary and Mythic banner, and I assume what they will do with Rearmed heroes is sprinkle them in as fill gap instead of using maybe the Brave heroes or Fallen heroes as frequently as they used to. The only thing that they could be is on their initial Forging Bonds rerun. if they were a new hero in that process, which all of them so far have been. The downside is that they have to win to get into that. So while they are likely to get at least one rerun in Forging Ponds, and then probably multiple down the road in terms of like remix, legendary mythics, those types of banners, it's never guaranteed, which makes it a little dicier. She is basically free fodder with an automatic merge, just like any rearmed hero. So in terms of using all the bits, rearmed heroes are really good for that purpose. So if you really like Robin, for example, or any rearmed hero, you'll be able to get a merge no matter what, and basically fodder off whatever you want. The downside, her fodder is a little restricted because she caters exclusively to armors and dragons. Now, she does have exclusive fodder in attack speed near save, which is nice. There's another 4-star limited special hero in Winter Manuela who probably really appreciates that save skill. And then she also does have Hardy Fighter 3, which I think is only on Ascended Fjorm currently, as well as Robin. So there's that. So again, pretty limited in terms of option or availability. Rearmed Robin is a very pro and con type situation, is probably unique to your specific needs. And she is going up against fomortiis, who again is relatively kind of special focused on beast units, right? Especially with the beast follow-up. So it's really going to come down to what you need, and you should probably vote for that, because there's no real, like, whereas Veronica has general fodder that's good for just about anybody, most cases, Robin, fomortiis, they're a little more specialized. So there's not really a good way to vote for the general good of the player base with these two options, just in terms of generality. But yeah, that's pretty much what that is. Ninja Camilla, the multi-rage Vantage Queen, as I like to think of her. She reruns in November, as she is a special hero, who, for the foreseeable future at least, will always reaccompany the new banner for special heroes that happens in their month of debut. Currently still ninjas. Don't know if that'll change this year, but here we are. She does have exclusive fodder in Seal Res 4. I was just thinking about putting that on my Valentian Pala. Decided not to, because I didn't have her. It is what it is. And she also has 3 solid fodder inheritance options, specifically for res hitters. In attack, res, hold, close. Yeah. So there's good options there for her, but again, sort of limited. Not as limited as like just, you know, dragons or armors, but any range hitter or any res hitter for that matter would probably appreciate this, which is nice. But Camilla on her own is nuts. She's nuts. When I say she is the multi-range Vantage Queen, I'm not kidding. Genuinely not kidding. I'm surprised that Hardy Bearing hasn't come back as a dedicated counter to her. Or maybe it has and I just don't pay attention. Either way, a really solid option. Probably more for individual character and or merges rather than just the fodder. Because again, it's a little tailored. But overall, really solid unit. Devotion Crom, or Duo Crom. Crom that does Crom things, but in new dad flavor. That's Duo Dad. That's where we are now with Crom. He does rerun in February. In fact, he recently just had one. It's no longer there, but if you didn't grab him, you might be able to grab him here. As I said, he will rerun every single time. He has already gone through the double special, so no option there. You're gonna have to wait till February to get him if you still wanted him. He does have 3 solid inheritance options, but it's what I like to call the close counter bow starter pack. You're probably not going to fodder him for Times Pulse 3. Especially now that we have Times Pulse 4. A little bit dated. Not that dated. But you're probably getting Deadeye and then, you know, close salvo from him rather than Times Pulse. Currently, there's no way to get Deadeye, Salvo, and Times Pulse 3. Because you can only pick up 4 inherited skills at a time. And if you're counting along, you could do the pre-fodder for Deadeye, and you could do the pre-fodder for Salvo, but you can't really get Times Pulse 2 from anybody easily. So ideally, in an ideal world, we'd have 5 inheritable skills at a time, and then you could get all 3 from him, and that would be great, but we can't do that. So still not really an option, but maybe somewhere down the line it will be. His duo does grand strategy, which is in the newly discovered legendary male Robin. So it does all of those things and gives you all of the unity points and whatnot. And paired with Changing Fate, his assist skill, he can pretty much get a lot of good movement. Overall, pretty solid. Again, sort of limited in terms of inheritance scope, but not anything that, you know, you could break it out, right? Maybe you don't need Deadeye. Maybe you get Salvo and Times Pulse instead for somebody else. Options are there. Fallen Edelgard. This will be a bit of a short one. And I don't say that to besmirch, per se, but she was an impressive beast unit who formerly shaped metas. That's not to say that she still isn't good, but she is in the standard pool. She has had many reruns since her debut, and she is more or less kind of overshadowed by 2 other units in this voting gauntlet. That being Summer Edelgard as a Gale Forcer, and fomortiis as just kind of this beastie menace. Everybody does equal, if not better, than Fallen Edelgard between those 2. And even her fodder, Summer Edelgard's fodder, is just kind of an upgrade thanks to Assault Troop instead of Armor Stride. And then, of course, Attack Defense, ideal. So overall, just kind of less useful, I guess. Not useless, but definitely less useful. She doesn't pass my criteria for being on here. The #1 violation is standard pool. You always want to kind of rate by rarity, because some of these only come back like once a year after their double special debut. Some you only see like 2 or 3 times a year. She's kind of always there. And when it comes to colorless, someone who pulls colorless a lot, I have her at +10 now. Never actually pulling for her. So she does show up frequently. And she's Edelgard, so is going to put them in there regardless. So she shows up. She does show up. So she is available. She's kind of outclassed by other units on the banner. Do I need to go into more detail? No? Okay, cool. I thought so. But she is there as an option. Do what you will with that. She is facing off against Ninja Camilla, who I think, in terms of just usage, uniqueness, fodder, rarity, she kind of just blows Fallen Edelgard out of the water. But there is also Rearmed Ophelia, who is coming in here as well. Rearmed Ophelia is an actual good red tome that makes you wish that inheritance could be more than 4 skills at a time. And I know I brought this up during Duo Crom, but it's still very true for Ophelia as well. Ophelia here has no guaranteed rerun. She does offer free fodder with an automatic merge, so the standard rearmed hero description applies. She does have exclusive fodder in Special Spiral 4, which is a perk. The downside is that her inheritance for the red tome, which is what makes her a rearmed hero, there's not many red tomes that I feel like people want to invest a whole lot in. I was having a hard time figuring out what to do with it. Ultimately, I just kind of went for the Special Spiral more because I thought that was more useful like straight up. She does also come with Time's Pulse, which, you know, again, is thanks to Desert Nino, no longer at its highest tier potential, but it is still at 3, which is kind of nice. The downside is that we don't have anything that gives us attack res finish 3. So you're basically foddering her for attack res finish, all 4, or some combination of the Red Tome, Special Spiral, and Time's Pulse. Or just all of Time's Pulse 4, or you can just do that. That is pretty much where she is, and so that kind of makes her a little more specialized. Not terribly specialized, but pretty much locked to either Red Tomes or infantry units for the most part. Pretty decent. I was kind of like on the fence about rearmed Ophelia initially, like just being totally transparent. But the more I was putting stuff together for this video, I was kind of like, she's actually a really good option. And I think I kind of like her over Duo Crom, just in terms of what she can offer, which is, you know, kind of nice, I guess. But again, it's probably going to be more specialized to what you actually kind of want in your barracks. But attack res finish and Special Spiral 4 are really solid for infantry inheritance, so take that with what you will. Overall, if I had to pick what I think the ideal outcome of this would be, I'm kind of leaning on Summer Edelgard, Mythic fomortiis, and Rearmed Robin. It's kind of a toss-up. I would probably throw it to fomortiis. Ninja Camilla, absolutely. That seems like kind of a no-brainer. And then Duo Crom versus Ophelia. I'm kind of leaning Ophelia. I was fully intending on saying Crom 100%, but I'm kind of leaning more towards Ophelia now. I think ironically, after doing enough investigation and research into what these guys offer, I feel like Ophelia might be a little more neutral pick for most, whereas Duo Crom is probably more useful to you if you just want merges. So for a total player experience, I think Ophelia might offer just a little bit more in that regard. But do with that what you will. That's just what I've got. Ideally, I think either the entire player base getting a Summer Edelgard or Mythic fomortiis makes the most sense. But we'll never know until the voting gauntlet ends. So, like a week, we'll know. In like a week, we'll know. Hopefully this video ages well, and it maybe helps you get perspective on who you should vote for. Again, if you're undecided, if you are decided, I don't think I can tell you anything you don't already know. So, you know, hopefully I help someone. But that is it for this, and it's gone on way too long. But I hope that me going into detail and kind of talking a little bit more in depth about stuff was helpful to you. If it was, be sure to leave a like. But that's it for now. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.